I would like you to start the stream, please.
It's an excursion into the odd and into the very, very different.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. It's supposed to keep repeating itself, but it isn't. Alrighty, folks. Here we are. I guess we're broadcasting live. And the name of the show is I Like It Like That. Do you remember that thing?
Really funny.
Yeah.
Good morning.
Yeah, we got everything going on today. And
Tony Caravan.
You've been subjected to a highly sophisticated form of propaganda.
It's just what you need, and not what you don't.
Yeah, the title of this show today is What Did You Really Expect? What did you really expect? And be or be not, do or do not. Be or be not, do or do not, is what I say.
Quality, quantity, and variety.
ROCKFLUX.
Let's get this show on the road.
Hello. Hello.
And here we are once again. And you know, yesterday's show was something like Strange Days Ahead. And yeah, I was right on target. Even though it was like a 2-hour babble, free flow of consciousness. I was trying to get somewhere, and I don't know if I ever got there in the end. Did you hear this slurp? Coffee. I put like 4 heaping teaspoons of coffee, and I get 2 cups of coffee out of this new coffee maker I got. But I only paid $9.88 at Walmart.
You're listening to Tony Caravan Live.
Yeah, that's me.
Channel check. Left channel. Left channel.
But just for other people, let's make sure we give them a little bit of right channel, right channel. We want to be right there, right? We don't want to put one person out, or if you got the left side ideology, we don't want to leave out the right side. Personally, I don't even think there should be a center. So,
Making up the rules as we go along.
yeah. So I got all kinds of stuff. I don't know which way I should present this stuff, like in what order of existence or not. The title card today was Breaking World News, the morning show. And what's missing from that title card is this. All right. Because this seems to be the breaking world news of the day, right? But let's not get into that right now. We'll talk about that in a couple of minutes. That's what I mean. Did you really expect, what did you really expect as the subtitle or the true title of this show? But let's deal with some more things that affect you directly, not the things that they want to throw into your mind.
The Weather Watch forecast.
Yeah, let's take a look at the weather. So, there's 3 disturbances. It says no disturbances up top, but that's like meaningless. It just shows you the absurdity of the people we pay taxes to. Okay, satellite image from 420. Today is the August 17th. It's a Tuesday, 5:23 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. I am going to shrink. No, I don't want to shrink that. I'm trying to get control of this image so you can see what these things actually mean. So everything we're looking at is considered Henri out there. Yesterday I was like, what's that dot? It's the Bahamas. Henri is a storm, okay? So it has moved to the ranks of becoming a tropical storm. This was 4:20, so this is about an hour ago. The last, this kind of I guess this image has been pieced together. So the bottom portion was 4:56, so that's really only less than a half hour ago, approximately. Actually, as Jerry Lewis would have said. So as we look at this thing, we can see that unfortunately Grace has grazed over Haiti, and I'm sure that tragedy that's going on in Haiti has been overlooked by this, this thing, right? But the idea is like, what did you really expect? And Fred has made landfall and is a depression now, tropical depression. But Grace is a hurricane. So, that's, it's bad news, and it, for that area right down there, but to add insult to tragedy to insult, or insult to injury, or whatever you want to call it, whatever the expression is. So this is what's going on weather-wise out there, storm-wise. So we've got basically three storms. And as you can, if you look at the cloud cover on the eastern part of the U.S., in the upper left-hand part of your screen, you'll see Fred there. And you'll see that's heading. That means we're going to be getting rain and some winds all the way up, into upstate New York and maybe even into New England. All right. Now, if we take another look at this from a climate standpoint, I'm wearing a game over hat, so we might as well let the other game hat be there. I don't know why Tropical Storm Henry has been cut off here. This has been cropped somehow. Pardon me. Or Henri, I should say. But this paints a pretty much a better picture of of what's going on and what's happening right now. And I do see the reason, what's going on here. As you can see in red, that is, and this is, believe it or not, this is from this morning, even though it shows Fred, a moment ago. All right, we looked at Fred being on land, right? I just want to show you that, this is how whacked out things are. Same time, same channel. This is a satellite. This is really where Fred is. And they've got Tropical Depression Fred down there. But this is 4:17 a.m. Okay, today, earlier this morning. So, but we could use this. This is more of a forecast. So this is like within the next day or so. But still, pay no attention to that TD Fred down there, because it's ridiculous. And as well as you can see that tropical storm, Haiti is, in other words, there's something a little bit off about this, even though this came from the National Weather Service and NOAA. But it's still, it's a forecast map, so we have to take that with a grain of salt. So let's see here. Weather valid 8 a.m. Tuesday to 8 a.m. Wednesday. All right. So this is saying this is what's going to happen up till tomorrow morning. All right. And you could find your part of the country straight up, in one of these rarities. We actually got up Vancouver included, and they're showing into Canada and Mexico this time, which is mighty nice of them to do that. All right. So it looks like heavy rain and flash flooding is still possible coming into over the next 24 hours, coming up with that tropical depression, which is, it's just a storm now, but it still has all that water, that it's gathered from the Gulf. And that means we can expect, at the very least, they're saying heavy rain, flash flooding possible up through, parts of Atlanta, Georgia, Tennessee, western North Carolina, Kentucky, Virginia, and West Virginia, tip of Ohio, and pretty much a little bit of western, southwestern, and central and eastern Pennsylvania going up into New York State. And South Carolina, for some reason, has got it, got itself covered. And you can see there are some, severe thunderstorms possible down North Carolina, Tennessee, Georgia way. At the very least, we can expect rain and the possibility of thunderstorms all over that area on the eastern part, and then extending throughout the south, and then going up towards the northwest, but not on the northwestern coast. And I know I'm speaking the obvious, but, this is kind of how you point things out. That Bermuda probably is going to, have some pretty bad weather. Now, amidst all this rain, even though there was rain in Nevada yesterday, I believe, there should have been, there's critical fire weather possible, they're saying, there right now, almost in the center swath of the state. Now, of course, apart from Reno and Vegas, pretty much, and a few other places. But I mean, we're talking desert out there. So little small towns. And last but not least, looks like Canada's just in for some rain. And that pretty much covers it. So I hope this helps you out, because sometimes the local weather doesn't really give you the big picture. You can see Toronto is expecting rain and thunderstorms. Montreal, rain and thunderstorms. Like I say, it's one of those rare occasions where they decided to actually include our neighbors to the north and south in the map. But anyway, take a little last glance at that, and that's pretty much your
The Weather Watch forecast.
Okay. And I'm just going to give you one last image of this, so you get this idea. This is from the actual satellite. So it looks like Henri is most likely going to clip Bermuda, and the same with Grace. Is Haiti's got has definitely gotten rained upon, according to the satellite image. And you can see why that other forecast showed the heavy rains coming up, through the mid-Atlantic state area, where I often say I'm a little bit north. I'm north at mid-Atlantic. Okay. So that's what you need to look out for. All right. And today is Tuesday. So there's an awful lot of stuff going on. I've got my Game Over hat on, and I brought the Game Over girl back on too. I'm going to move her just a little bit over further, even though that does put a little, I'll put myself here. This is kind of weird. I don't know. There we go. I'm trying to figure out why things aren't the way they normally were, so forgive me. All right, so we seem to be back to normal. So if you could call any of this stuff that's going on right now normal. And, of course, the ROCKFLUX mug. But I wanted to look at this thing, because this is this is the talk of everybody's going crazy over this thing, And remember, none of this is a surprise. All right. And I'm not going to waste the whole show on this. I'm more interested in the concept of why the news media and everyone's all up in arms, so to speak, with this thing. As I will drink some coffee, try to wake up. Oh, yeah. It's kind of, it's like burnt coffee. I don't know. I'm not really a coffee connoisseur. When this 100% Colombian coffee goes out, I'm going to get some Kona coffee. And I'm going to see what all the hullabaloo is all about. All right. So, breaking world news. These are some images taken in the past day or so. And if you look closely under the breaking world news graphic I created, I made that. It says, "Welcome to Kabul," or Kabul, whatever you want to say. And it's funny, in the lower right-hand corner, there's like a billboard advertisement type of thing. And what's crazy about this whole situation is that it's, some people say it is like was a waste of 20 years, right? And think of all the things that happened. So you got to understand from a soldier's standpoint, right? And families of the fallen and injured, how they feel right now. It's really, to them, this is like, there's no words to describe, what's going on in their minds right now. But the thing was, the withdrawal was handled wrong because, in other words, it left a power vacuum, and with a guy, the Taliban are no fools. They're human beings, and what they figured out is they know that the guy in charge of the U.S. has dementia. And so, it's like they're not afraid of him. And so they're doing this thing. And what happened now, what the problem is that now, and there's all kinds of, I'm sure there'll be I'm not going to watch TV, and I'm not going to talk. This isn't going to be the whole title of this show. I'm trying to give you a background of the absurdity of the situation and why, and the fact that what did you expect to happen, and what do you expect to happen in the coming years? And I'm not talking about this part of the world alone. I'm talking about here in the good old U.S. of A., former U.S. See, in other words, once they've, let's look at this, pragmatically. All right. Once they've disseminated, okay, so, there was talk of like, oh, well, there's a 300,000 man Afghan army that's been trained and has all these U.S. weapons, right? Well, we've seen this before. First of all, who knows? But, I would say most of those people have already defected, right? Probably. I don't know for sure, but, I'm making a guess. I would say, don't you think? And so the weapons are going to get in the hands of these, of the Aboriginal people, right? And, there's going to be a lot of craziness and madness that goes on. In other words, like I say, especially looking from the picture in the lower right-hand side, and even the picture in the upper, welcome to Kabul, you can see billboards, right? And somebody's palace, there's a sign there, you know, and there's a airplane billboard. And in the lower right, you see the LG symbol, right? Right? It's an ad, LG phones. And then, like I say, I don't know if that's an ad for a beer or an energy drink or whatever it is on that other billboard. So you see, when you try to go in and bring Western, you know, ideas and Western ways to people that don't want to be Westernized. And it doesn't matter if you spend 20 years there trying to do it. They wait you out. That's why this happened to Russia. Russia lost an awful lot of blood and treasure in Afghanistan and walked away. Because what they don't understand is these are the indigenous people. This is their place. And, you know, they'll say anything, do anything to appease whoever these people are that want their poppies and want to put an oil pipeline through there, because those are the real things that people aren't aware of. And they just did it for 20 years. And most recently, they were in talks. It's like, yeah, just go ahead and leave. And I guess what the scariest part about what people don't understand about Afghans is that, you know, apart from the fact that the Taliban wears the heavy duty beards and stuff like that. And of course, people in the U.S. have, you know, hipsters have donned the beards. That if you look closely at an Afghan face, you'll see a lot of American looking faces there. Because Afghans, you know, it's basically, see, this is the problem that people have always had with this terrorist idea and with Afghans, and that they're not dark-skinned, right? You know, because the U.S. likes to be able to demonize, you know, or, you know, they you know, color is such a big thing over here, right? But basically the Taliban are a bunch of white guys, and when you shave them, they just look like the guy next door or somebody you went to college with. You know, and that's why they posed such a threat, and that's why that's why the original hijackers, you go back to 9/11, were such a problem. What people didn't know is, like, when they were flashing these pictures they had of these guys, supposedly, some of which they found were living in England after the fact. But that what they didn't show was the pictures, because they were trying to make this, you know, they were trying to build up to war in such a big way. What they didn't show were, and those pictures were floating around, but you had to look hard for them, was what these guys did. Is what they did was they were wearing like American, you know, pop culture T-shirts. They were totally clean shaven, you know, with regular haircuts. And they just looked like the guy next door or some college kid. Right? Now, I'm only saying that is because, you know, it's like if America, if Western nations in general, and that means like the UK, Europe, and the US, was smart, instead of getting crazy about this, all right, you know, this unfortunate, you know, turn of events, which we could have seen coming. We'd be best to just forget about it. Okay? Now, I want to show you something I have here somewhere. Here, let's see. That's not it. Sorry, just bear with me. I have another image I want to show you. And I know I brought it in. Or what happened to it, I have no idea. I thought I sworn I called it news. I don't want to bring in the same thing twice. I'm sorry for the delay. I didn't. Okay, here we go. Let me see. I'll bring in this image again. I know I created this thing. I guess I forgot to load it. Browse. And maybe it's still on my desktop. Yeah. Okay. Now, let's take a look here. We don't need to see my mug. I don't need to see her either. And I guess I could just overlap this because it doesn't really matter. So everyone can see what's going on here. So if you look closely towards the left-hand side of this map, all right, obviously the big yellow spot up top is Russia, what's left of Russia. You got the Indian Ocean below, India, Arabian Sea. I mean, somebody has made the remark. It's pretty funny. I mean, where does the Arabian Sea become the Indian Ocean and the Bay of Bengal? It's all the same water, right? Same ocean. But anyway, that said, as we go up past India, Pakistan, there we see Afghanistan. And Afghanistan is pretty big, And oddly enough, since these comparisons have been made from Vietnam to Afghanistan, you can see that, Afghanistan is quite bigger country. Because, in Vietnam, it was North versus the South type of thing. But Afghanistan, it's the entire country of Afghanistan. But Afghanistan is next to Iran. And in order to get to Europe, you don't walk from Afghanistan, even getting to Turkey, which would be the closest, semi-NATO type of country. All right. Just to put this in perspective, because the average person doesn't really understand that part of the world and what's there. So Afghanistan is basically surrounded, is landlocked, right? And while they have relationships with Pakistan, close relationships with Pakistan, there's still no way, apart from airplanes, all right, that you're getting from Afghanistan, into Europe, let alone the U.S. And especially when not even the average person right now can, fly without, Your
papers, please.
All right. So unless they make some sort of, crazy thing. And airlifting, I don't know how many people there are, but, if they talk about some kind of refugee crisis, this has been 20 years. 20 years is is basically like a generation. Okay? It's a long time. And so they've westernized a lot of people. See, imagine someone born, to give you an example, what if you were born, in 1998 or something? Somebody in their 20s who's living in Afghanistan, because when this westernization was going on in the cities, right, the major areas, protected by the Green Zone and U.S. and NATO troops, you've got people that basically an entire generation that has grown up and is probably living Western style lives, right? You had these women working in banks. They weren't wearing anything on their face, burqas or any of that stuff. Forget this Sharia law type of stuff. And so what I'm saying is that, this is a complex issue. Okay, so first of all, when you look at this map that I just plopped up on the screen, it makes you realize that you've got this landlocked country, and the only way out of that place is basically in some sort of aircraft. I mean, yes, they can walk to Iran, but Iran is a mess. They can walk to Pakistan, but that's Pakistan, right? And then you've got the various other countries around there, former USSR, the stands as they call them, that are pretty much out of control, and nobody wants to go there, right? And maybe you can slip into China, but that's not exactly the place anybody wants to go. So you got a landlocked country, and you have probably, it's hard to say, but you may have anywhere from 10 to 100, hundreds of thousands of potential westernized people who want to escape, potential refugees, right? Because the Taliban numbers aren't that big. That's what even Biden was trying to explain. Like why he that was his excuse initially. He said, "Oh, it's like 300,000 trained troops, Afghan troops, and the Taliban only have like 70,000 or whatever the number is. I don't know, and I don't care, right?" But all I'm pointing out, because we deal with pop culture and things of that nature and the absurdities of life on this show, is that when you look at some of these pictures, and I'm not going to bring up more pictures, you can see that, like I say, there's like billboards, some kind of ads for, going to some kind of palace, taking a flight here, vacation. There's advertisements. LG apparently is of some big sponsor of everything here, right? Some kind of canned drink there. It's pretty sick. So this country has been 20 years westernized. 20 years westernized. And I don't really want to look at that picture because that's just not my show. My show isn't about that kind of stuff. All right. So, yeah, that's, they're in quite a pickle. And all that time wasted. And it's not as if they weren't warned about this all along. And no one ever really expected this to end nicely. And the longer people went there, the worse they've made it, because excuse me, there's no way out for the people that they westernized. So, there's interesting, it'll be interesting to see what happens, but when I say interesting, I don't know how interesting it'll be. It'll be mostly tragic, I guess. Because what are they going to do? Are they going to line up these westernized 20-somethings and mow down? Is it going to be one of these mass murder situations? Mass, killings? Lining up people and just mowing them down? Machine guns? U.S. made military industrial complex weaponry that was left over there? I mean, they forcibly evacuated the embassy, right? And that green zone, so to speak, as we call them. So we attribute the green zone mainly with Iraq. Iraq. So anyway, this isn't going to end well either way. And I'm only bringing this up now because this is the news. It's 5:54 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time here in the former United States, and now you get the right, and now Afghanistan has gone back to the Afghans, because basically that's who Taliban are. They're like the indigenous people. And so maybe it's, as sad as it is, it's just time to leave it. Just forget about that place. It's a landlocked country. And I don't think we should poke the hornet's nest, because those people, all they have to do is get clean shaven and figure a way to get on a plane and come over here, and nobody's going to, we could be back in looking at terrorism again. You understand, they look the same way as Americans. I hate to say that. But that's how Western civilization has always judged people, by looks, color of their skin, the set of the face. And like I say, you have to really look at some of the pictures and just imagine, get rid of the scruffy beards and whatever. And just look at the tone of their skin, look at their eyes, and look at the set of their face, and you'll say, that looks like a bunch of guys in a band, rock band, or guys you went to college with, right? Or some neighbor's son, right? Minus the scruffy beards, they look exactly like most Americans. Not the blonde-haired, blue-eyed ones, but right, anyone else. But actually, I've seen blue-eyed Afghans, so it doesn't matter. And besides, they could easily dye their hair for, anyone could dye their hair. So yeah, I just say I don't even think it should be on the news. Excuse me. This is a clear example of where the media is going to want to profit on this because it's free content. Excuse me, I'm sorry. I had this cereal for breakfast today. I think you ought to focus on health. Anyway, just in case somebody's tuning into this at this point.
You're listening to Tony Caravan Live.
Yeah, and it's hot in here today. It's humid. It was like in my bedroom, I think I said to people who watch this show, I do have a digital thermometer thing that tells me the humidity of the room, and the humidity was like 60 something. You don't want 60 some humidity in your house. That's bordering, that's damp. And it was raining outside, so opening the window would just make the humidity go up. I opened it when I came downstairs, just to, I always do that to get fresh air in there, but I had it closed last night. And so what I'm saying is, so here's what's going to happen, Everyone, all the news media, all, social media, like I say, the media machine, which is all encompassing everything there is, including your apps on your phone, are going to be wall to wall this entire week leading up to the Sunday show, right? That's the big thing. This weekend Sunday show, right? These people that sit there and they talk serious about things they haven't a frickin' clue about, right? They don't understand the socioeconomic geopolitics, as I call it, of the world. The significance of Afghanistan to begin with. When it all along, all it had to do, it always had to do with the poppy fields and the pipeline. All right. And very few people even understand about the pipeline. That was what Russia's interest is. They wanted to put this pipeline through there. And then the Americans wanted the same thing. And like I say, too many soldiers I've talked to were, they were protecting the poppy fields. And the Taliban, it'd be interesting to see, because this is probably why there's panic in the corporatocracy right now, particularly big pharma. Because Afghan's the number one exporter of heroin, poppies. All right. Well, originally, what got us in there is the Afghans were the Taliban was talking about burning the poppy fields. In fact, they were starting to. And Afghan, for a while there, was no longer the number one producer. All right. And you can't imagine the big business of heroin in the world. It's like big, right? Like super big. See, the U.S., we're only 4% of the world's population. But throughout Asia and Europe and all these other places, heroin is really big. Here people are like, they get these codones or whatever the heck they are. Opioid drugs, pills, and get addicted to these things, or OD or something. But no, people are, shooting heroin is a big deal in Europe and Asia. We're talking about, hundreds of billions of dollars. I don't even know. It could be $1 trillion industry by now. All right. But it's definitely a hundreds of $billion industry. Now remember, once you get over, like, say, $100 million, some would say even in the tens of millions of dollars, but definitely just in the hundreds of millions. Forget about $1 billion. Human life no longer has any value to those people. They'll kill people without even a thought. You see, because that vast amount of money is just too much to allow, to let a human get in the way of them. You see? I mean, you see it in a lesser way, excuse me, with the cartels, south of the border, so to speak, and with the gangs. That deal with cartel drugs and stuff in the U.S. That human life is like completely has no value whatsoever to them. They'll kill anybody over, drugs take precedence over life. And so when you're looking at the magnitude of heroin, Afghan heroin, that's the real story that no one's going to be covering today. See, everyone's going to be, the people on the right or the MAGA people and stuff are all going to be trying to show Biden's weak. He's not, can't be president. He's mentally unstable. He's allowed this to happen, blah, blah, blah. Well, that's not exactly, that is true. The guy's basically lost his mind. But remember that the whole withdrawal from Afghanistan started under Trump, right? That was his thing. He said he was going to bring all the troops out. Now, the only, just to qualify that, the only difference would have been Trump did drop the Moab over there, the mother of all bombs. Though, remember what I said, I thought the Moab should have been dropped on the poppy fields. But instead, he just dropped it to demonstrate his power. So in other words, he was able to keep the Taliban in check because they had this thing. They said, okay, we're not going to mess with that guy. That was the same with Reagan. There are certain presidents that, they look at and go, that guy's nuts, or that guy's, he's going to do stuff to us. So, that keeps them in check. But when Biden took office, they realized these are just a bunch of, bureaucrats. They are. They're bureaucrats who are greedy they like playing politics. They like the lifestyle of being rich and, being politicians. They love DC. That's their natural habitat almost, right? The people that are in power right now. It's like a pure bureaucratic, White House, Congress. I mean, these are like they're like in their natural state. They're like, this is their world. They love it, man. They love this kind of stuff. It's insignificant to people like me. It's like, I think, because I know that the corporatocracy gets what it wants anyway. But all the talk, mark my words, like I say, I'm disconnected from TV, but I could tell you exactly what's going to happen. And so you're going to have the MAGA people, pointing the finger at Biden. And then you're going to have Biden people and the neoliberals, as opposed to the neocons. But the neocons and the neoliberals are going to like side up together. They comprise the military-industrial complex. The big military contractors, and Big Pharma is going to join forces with them because of the poppy fields. And then, the oil interest, big oil, is going to be looking as well. Like I say, that's a much underreported aspect to this whole thing that people don't talk about. And, so you put that unholy alliance together, and they're going to be pushing big time to send over, a lot of troops, and basically have a real war. See, the problem why that I say the whole thing's ridiculous and it's useless now is because you've allowed this, whether there was only 70,000 of these, I can't talk today. I'm sorry. 70-some thousand of these Taliban army folk, guys with rocket launchers or whatever they have in the pictures, Kalashnikovs or whatever. But they're going to have their hands on all the U.S. Materiel, as they call it, that was left there, that they've just taken over. And like I say, believe me, the Afghan army, they're all going to defect. They're not going to want to hold the ground. They did, if they, And so they're all over the place. See, now you're talking urban warfare. And so it's worse than even before, where you were bombing a place and it was a wedding. You went after somebody and you killed 44 people who were at a wedding party to get a couple of, big cheese, people. And the rest were just collateral damage. Well, the problem now is that the whole country's, any place in the city, and these guys are all disseminated throughout, anything that resembles a city. Well, you're talking urban warfare. So collateral damage, excuse me, is not going to be a wedding party. Collateral damage is going to be just everybody. And so there is no real solution to this problem, militarily. But these people, they're going to try to do the military thing. You see? But the reality is they ought to just walk away from it. And the news media ought to just not cover it. And it's going to take precedence over top of the disease. Now, makes you wonder about the timing. So it's back to school. A lot of college students are already back at college. Colleges in the area where I am are starting classes this week, sometime this week, and next week for sure. I mean, this is the time of year. So college is back in session. In many places, schools are opening again for kids. I don't know why I can't talk today. Because it's 6 a.m.? I don't know. Hot. And then you have this thing, that's it's people don't know what's going on with, right? The never ending, thing that you can't talk about. And politics. And you've got this, Build Back Better infrastructure bill, and you have Save America people who are starting to get energized, right? So you have this undercurrent going on. And then you have just the general populace who are just fed up with all of this nonsense. So I don't know, man. And I guess there's going to be a lot of MAGA folks, who have direct connections, to people that were either lost over the past 20 years in Afghanistan, or who served there, or, have family members or friends. They're going to be tempted to side with the neoliberals, the Biden set, because it's a warrior nation. And, there was all this talk, and that's why there's been talk. Have you noticed them use the word like defeat, and they try to compare it to Vietnam? And I said this last week, and nobody listens to me because nobody watches this frickin' show. But I still do this nonetheless. You can go back and watch whatever show I said. When they first were comparing it, to Saigon, right? And you could even see today when I was looking, to grab that picture that I grabbed, I took this picture. One of the other options of pictures I was going to grab, there was one that had the chopper over top of evacuating from Vietnam, and then next to, juxtaposed with the chopper evacuating from Kabul. Right? And they're trying to make this parallel. And I said this about, I don't know, within the last week. It wasn't the last 3 days or the last 3 or 4 days, because I had been dealing with this solving the homeless problem in America, which I feel I solved, but nobody seemed to even comment or care about that I came up with a solution for that. But my open letter to Apple. People don't want to solve things. They just want to talk about them. They just want to tweet about them. They just want to tweet and find another photo so that they could one-up somebody and get more likes and more followers or friends, so-called friends. But anyway, within the past week, before I got into solving the homeless issue, I was mentioning about this Saigon, Vietnam thing, and how there was no comparison whatsoever. This wasn't the Gulf of Tonkin thing, all right? This wasn't the domino theory, right? The communism, right, was going to, that whole theory they had presented. And it didn't really fly, and so that's why they had to do the fake Gulf of Tonkin thing, as if they sunk that ship. And Afghanistan was a completely different animal, totally different animal, right? There is no comparison whatsoever. I mean, helicopters have been airlifting people out of embassies because of U.S. interventions in various countries since they had the military helicopter, because that's how many interventions we've had. That's happened to us in, Central America, South America, the African continent, right? Southeast Asia. It's a common scene, a chopper over an embassy. Right? I mean, I'm not laughing at that. This is real tragedy because people died. But I mean, this is this is what goes on. And trying to show a picture, which, you watch it, it'll be all over the news and all over social media. That's because I saw one. I'm not going to bring it up. I mean, I could, but it's like, I mean, I could bring it up just to make the point. Why not? Let's see here. A new window. Let's see, because my history will probably even... Let's go to embassy evacuation. Let's see who's doing the thing. See if I can I'll find the juxtaposed picture. And then I'll put Saigon. Let's see. So I know I've seen too many of them. It's like the title under one of these, Humiliation Fall of Saigon. Taken amid embassy evacuation, Okay, here it is. Here's the one I was looking at. I'm pretty sure this is... Not Saigon, says Afghanistan. Okay. All right, let me do this here for you. I just want to show you how the absurdity of what's going on. You're going to see this time and time again. So since I've got the morning show, you saw it here first, unfortunately. I mean, I shouldn't even have to show this. So I'm going to change this news picture, because I think I got the point across there, the westernization of Afghanistan and a whole generation. Yeah. So here it is. And let me just take this breaking news thing out of here. Oh, no, hold on. Title card. So this is the image that people are going to be dealing with. You're going to see this all over. On the left side is evacuation from the embassy in Vietnam, and on the right side is yesterday in Afghanistan. Yeah, you can see with the mosque in the background. Right. And that's the whole idea. And I'll put this this is your CNN type of stuff you're going to see. And of course, these are just, these are file photos that are going to float all over the place. And they're going to try making all of these parallels, and all for the purpose of because the war machine stands to make billions of dollars if they go in there for a war. All right. Hundreds of billions of dollars, because you're talking urban warfare. It's going to be crazy, because they're all over the place. It's going to be worse than it was before, because before they had the Taliban, they kind of had figured them all out, and with our satellites and everything, we kind of knew where everybody was and stuff. And that was like how we were containing things. We were still losing people, losing lives. But the numbers were diminishing year by year, and that's why it was decided under the Trump administration to just get out of there, because they knew where everybody was, and they were like, look, we know where you are. If you guys get out of control, if you make a move, we're going to drop the Moab on you, the mother of all bombs, which they dropped, in the Trump administration, so people knew what they were facing. Okay. And now big pharma, so that's hundreds of billions of dollars. This would be a totally endless. We're talking about another 20 years war. This would be a bloodier war with more collateral damage than you can possibly imagine, and more American deaths than you can imagine. All right. Good old urban warfare. We need that again. And now big pharma is going to go, oh my God, the Taliban's back in power. They're going to take control of the poppy fields. And we're going to lose hundreds of billions of dollars in heroin money. And like the oil pipeline people are going to be going, oh no, we're never going to get that pipeline through there. You see? And then just the general hawks, the neocons and the neoliberals and the politicians, and like I say, a lot of MAGA people, because they're military, they served, and they feel betrayed, and and they want to get even. So they're going to join the cry, So we're and then the media, they love it. So because that means more viewers for them. So they're going to be jingoism, they call it. So the media is going to be covering this right and left. This is the photo of the day. And so what about what's going on with this variant thing? Is it safe to go out of the house? Right? Because nobody's going to be talking about that. That's going to be a little side story, right? This is going to be the breaking news. This is going to be the big story, all the discussion, all day long on all cable and news, right? So all the front page of all the newspapers, right? And I said yesterday, strange days ahead, man. And I said this like 5 days ago. Comparing this to Saigon was just, there's no comparison. It's totally different. The only thing, the only thing that's similar slightly is a helicopter, chopper. But you got a whirlybird in Kabul, and you've got a small chopper in Nam. Totally different animal. Totally different story. I mean, neocons, back then it was, there still were neocons and neoliberals. It's just that the neoliberals were pretending that they just stayed in the background. Yeah, so it's game over, man. It's game over. So, what do you even I don't know.
You're listening to Tony Caravan Live.
It's never been more important a time to just focus on yourself, your family, your loved ones. And like I've said 1,000 times before, you've got, you support those who've served. See, this isn't a loss or humiliation for anyone who served in the military. All right? They served heroically. All right? They completed their mission. They did what they were told to do. All right? And during the time, even in the Middle Eastern, and amidst all the craziness that's gone on over the past decades, all right, with many of these neocon, neoliberal wars, the point is, those who served did protect freedom for those at home. You understand? They did. That's what they did. They fought, they gave their life and limb for the people who were at home. All right? And particularly over the past, decade or so, they've kept the fight overseas. Right? They've kept the homeland safe. And so you need to respect those who served, and those who've served have no reason to feel defeated or humiliated whatsoever. And it seems to me, when I was looking at this, scanning to find the photos like this, that, the word humiliation is popping up. There's no humiliation for any U.S. troop. None whatsoever. They have nothing but pride. You see? Nothing but pride. Because they basically fought to preserve freedom. Now, what's happening now in this country, and I say the former United States, and that offends some people, that has nothing to do with the fact that it was the U.S. troops, it was the people who served that kept this thing afloat as long as they could. But going back to Afghanistan is not going to save America. You see? This is not humiliation for anybody who served in the armed forces. All right. None whatsoever. And don't let the media try to create that narrative. That's what they're going to create. Because those are the types of press releases that are going to come out of the military contractors, out of big pharma, and out of big oil, and from the neocons and neoliberals. Want to politicize this, use this, want to rally, right, the troops, so to speak, and the media jingoism who wants to get the eyeballs so they could sell commercials. All right? I don't know why my YouTube thing just cut out for a second, but you might not have noticed it. So that's the main thing. This is not humiliation. This isn't Vietnam. There is no comparison other than the fact that there's, a chopper involved. Okay? Helicopter. That's it. I hate to, That's the only thing in common. Now, if you spend your entire day glued to a television set or tweeting, you know, and bantering back and forth about this thing in this landlocked country and getting caught up in this jingoism that just further supports my whole thesis that this is a corporatocracy now, not a republic. Okay? This is a corporatocracy. And big pharma, and the military industrial complex, and big oil, and Wall Street, because they trade and they make money off all those portions of the corporatocracy. Right? And all the players and the alphabet agency types, the bureaucrats, like I say, the neocons and the neoliberals. This is their wheelhouse, as they say. Don't fall into that trap. Don't let them, reel you in to their sickness, their madness. Okay? What's done is done. All right? Everyone did their job. Everyone did the right thing heroically who served. This is done now. Enough with that. Enough with that hellhole. All right? Enough with those people over there. You can't convert them. 20 years, you can't westernize. All right? People who are zealots. No more than you can change some religious zealot, in your neighborhood. All right? So forget it. It's a waste of time. Cut the cord. Cancel your cable TV today. You want to really do the right thing? Cancel your satellite or cable TV today. And go binge watch something on via the internet. Right? Get one of the pay channels. They don't have a great selection. But cancel your $100 cable bill or whatever it is and get a $10 or $14 movie channel. And watch some movies if you're stuck at home. And don't watch war movies. Don't go on Twitter and Facebook. This is all you need to see. All right? This is the game they're going to play. Just don't fall for it, man. Just don't fall for it. It just bothers me so much to see so many people falling for it and caught up in this world, this wacky world. When I say strange days ahead, there are so many other things, and there's so many things to focus on in your own life. And you're just not focusing on it. And there's so many ways we're being screwed over by this corporatocracy. And how it's really only one big giant corporatocracy that's basically, like I said, it's neocons and neoliberals, it's MAGA and Build Back Better, it's Save America and Build Back Better and Great Reset. It's all one big ball of crap, man. And if you don't understand that they're all in bed together, all interrelated, and it's all about profits, and they're just using you as a pawn, and if you're a soldier, you're just cannon fodder, you know? You know, like I said, you know, I've said it 1,000 times, you know? You're just cattle to them. That's all, cattle. And you're allowing yourself to be treated like cattle. And you're going to sit there and watch this all day long. They're going to try to give you goosebumps. They're going to try to create this jingoism. And they're going to try, there's going to be guys coming on, ex-special forces and other people saying, hey, we can't allow this. We have to do this, do that. We don't have to do anything. Everyone who served well, served their country, and helped preserve freedom for as long as possible. But the corporatocracy is in charge right now. What are you going to do? In other words, people don't get it. This is what the corporatocracy wants. You're falling into their trap. This is a classic, just another example of bait and switch. They're going to try to put your direction towards that landlocked country. Who cares about that place? And they're going to put everybody's eye on that ball so you keep the eye off of them. It's the same as with, like I say, with the Save America, Build Back Better thing. You know, it's divide and conquer. But nobody's realizing that in the meantime, while you've been dividing and conquering, the corporatocracy's taking over control, right? The Constitution giveth, and the terms of service taketh away. Well, the terms of service have already taketh away from us. The corporatocracy is already in power, in control, in total control, runs this former United States. But that's it's nothing against any previous service. Okay? Do you understand? You sacrificed, you saved a life, you preserved freedom. That can never be taken away from you because what you did at that time. You know, but what happens in the future doesn't negate your efforts in the past. All right? The mission was never, we're going to go over here and preserve freedom for eternity, right? I mean, that's like going back to the Crusaders, right? And saying, you know, those knights that gave their life, 1,000 years ago to keep, you know, the same group of people from taking over Europe, basically. That's what it really was. Well, they did their job and they did it well. Well, guess what? Europe's overrun now. Okay? That doesn't take anything away from the sacrifice of those knights who gave their lives and limbs 1,000 some years ago to preserve freedom for their countries and kept and allowed Western civilization, you know, to basically to exist, really. Preserved it. But the point is, you know, it's the march of time. It's history. You know, you do everything you do. You know, today's a new day. And it's time that people do things at the home front, the homeland. Right? In your neighborhoods, in your families. Right? We need to get our own house in order and stop worrying about these people that don't want our help anyway and that are just going to wait it out. All right? it's like, you know, certain Aboriginal peoples are still just waiting. Figure they're waiting to watch Western civilization fall. You know, and they don't care if they have to wait, 10,000 more years. Well, that's what it is like with the Taliban. All right. And that's what it is. That's what it is. That's the same with what do you think the Crusades were all about? People don't even get that because they don't know history. They were never taught history. The Crusades are the exact same thing that brought us over to the Middle East. People say it was about oil. No, it was like, and I think, Bush too actually mentioned that in like something and got greatly criticized for it, but he was right. Right? It was just the modern day Crusades. They're just trying to, restrain individuals that, for thousands of years haven't changed their mind. All right? This is a clash of civilizations. Do you understand that? It's a clash of civilizations. You've heard that terminology before. All right? But in this instance, we're separated by an ocean. That country is landlocked. All right? Just get every camera out of there, don't even cover it. Let them do whatever they have to do. It's not our responsibility. We tried. All right? It was a mistake to go there in the first place. The big O guy was in Pakistan all the time. He had gotten out. He had moved to Pakistan so early on, it was pathetic. People knew that. People inside know. They knew where he was. That's the other tragedy, but that's not even worth talking about anymore. So, I don't know how many times I can say it, but
gentlemen, you can't fight in here. This is the war room.
That's all people are going to be dealing with today in the next couple days. As far as I'm concerned,
I've resigned. I will not be pushed, filed, stamped, indexed, briefed, debriefed, or numbered.
And that's what you should do too. Just get out of it. Don't deal with it, man. Because otherwise...
This is a nightmare. It must be a nightmare.
Why are you telling us this?
Because it's the cold truth of reality. That's why I'm telling you this. It's the cold truth of reality. So to hell with them. The hell with them. It's not Vietnam. Everybody who served their country well, did their job, did what they were supposed to do, and at the time preserved freedom while America was still America. There's no humiliation here. That's the media and politicians trying to just create jingoism. So I don't know how many times I can repeat it. We've got to worry about stuff like this.
Your papers, please.
Okay? Focus on the problems at home. We got some serious problems in this country right now. Serious problems. Right? And they're going to try to divert your attention over there to some landlocked country. All right? Forget it. Forget about it. All right? Let's deal with the problems we have here. We need to get to the, it's enough. See, they're so desperate. They're loving this. Oh man, the news media is going to be covering this. Nobody's going to be talking about the thing. Nobody's going to be questioning, where it came from anymore or what this thing is. Is this gain of function? This, that, the other. Are these things working? Aren't they working? How many people this? How many people that? Nobody's going to be talking about any of that stuff. Nobody's going to be talking about the fake infrastructure bill, right? You know, yeah, you're going to fix infrastructure without carbon-based fuels. Nobody's going to be talking about the 10 to 20 million unemployed in this country. People don't know, and people without skills. So there's 10 million jobs available today that nobody's even qualified for. What are they going to do? Right? And it's probably 20 million. Now, we got problems in this country, and then we've got this political system where everybody's caught up in this cult of personality, and politics has become pop culture. And I always say this every frickin' day, but it's never said enough, and I'll say it every frickin' day. That's what you need to focus on, not this crap. Screw that. Okay? Screw it. And then there's other people that probably are just not even thinking about that. They're just, worried about, getting materialistic things, or hoping they're going to get, this moratorium on eviction, or get more unemployment money, or, buy some kind of latest widget, right? Order a takeout pizza. Is there going to be college sports? College party. Wall Street Journal. Taliban consolidated control of Kabul with stores reopen. I just got like a notification on my phone. Stores reopening. Let's see what they say. You get these notifications on your phone just to show you the absurdity of what's going on here. And why it's taking forever to open up. Taliban consolidate control in Afghanistan's capital. Thousands remain stranded. Female presenters allowed on television in possible sign of Taliban moderation. Taliban fighters on pickup truck in Kabul. Many stores reopened. Traffic police returned to their post, and a senior official from the Islamist movement arrived for contacts with political leaders affiliated with the fallen Afghan Republic. Thousands employed by Western embassies in Kabul remain stranded in the city, unable to enter the airport for evacuation. All right. Do you see what I mean? This is a Wall Street Journal. I don't know if I can. That's the kind of stuff they're pushing to your cell phones. And I don't subscribe to the Wall Street Journal. You see that? I don't even have cell phone service on that iPhone. I got rid of it. I just use it. I just used it as a Wi-Fi thing. But see, they push that news to you. See, that's the thing. That's what I'm trying to say. The media machine, it's all encompassing. And they're going to they're pushing that to me. I'm anti it. I'm against it. I don't even have the news app on there anymore, let alone Wall Street Journal. So how did the hell did that get on there? Right? I deleted it. Deleted the news app. I don't subscribe to the Wall Street Journal. They push that story. See, this is a corporatocracy. This is an authoritarian state. This is what it's like under totalitarianism. And you don't get it. I show you these things firsthand, right? I'm demonstrating this stuff to you. I'm showing you these pictures, of the helicopters. I'm telling you everything in advance. I've talked about this way before this happened. And I get 2 viewers Right now I have no viewers, but this is a live broadcast. But everyone's watching, Good Morning America or something, glued to it, and some kind of human interest stories and stuff, and the jingoism. I'll tell you, man, it just gets more and more absurd as the days go on. I can't believe it. I can't believe it. You're just shooting it out to your phones. Right? Well, I'm talking to you. It's insane. It's really insane.
This is insane. This is insane.
Yeah, there's not much we can do about anything regarding that. But I'm telling you, just don't fall into the trap. Don't allow yourself to be manipulated. All right? Just like I told you about, anyone who served has no reason to have any negative feelings whatsoever, because they did their job. They served the country well, and people should be proud of them, and they should be proud of themselves. And likewise, just because Western civilization is fallen, and this is the former United States, man, it's a corporatocracy. You cannot, like I said, Rome did not rise from the ashes. Great Britain became, an island. I mean, Spain, all those conquistadors that caused all that murder and mayhem in South and Central America and in the Americas in general. Look at Spain now. Greece, the dynastic Egyptian era. Okay? The list goes on and on. There's empires you don't even know about, There's countries that have existed that they've erased from history. That's another thing. This revisionist history that what's going on right now is crazy. It's even crazier. And what about the UFOs? Right? No, man. It's if there weren't a lot of tragedies with people who are still, who are trapped there and who inevitably will probably be, injured or killed. Though there is a distinct possibility that the Taliban might just let them fly out of the airport. There's a possibility. But if that does happen, and even if it doesn't, but either way, we need to let that landlocked country be a landlocked country and let those people do whatever they want to do. We got way more problems than the Taliban here in the United States. Okay? And I was laying back in bed before when I was trying, as I was waking up this morning at like 4 a.m. And I was thinking about it. Just how much everything's changed and how it's never going back to the way it was. And how we all have to adapt and find happiness ourselves. And that's what you need to start doing. And the sooner you start, the better. And the sooner you start being prepared and accepting this new reality, this paradigm shift, right, in the way things are, then the sooner you could get on with living your life and finding happiness. Because that's the whole thing. We still have like a certain amount. We are not as free as we were 50, 60 years ago. Okay? That's a reality. All right? That's a difference between Vietnam era and the current time. Despite the fact that we had the draft and everything like that in Vietnam era, we still have, freedoms have been eroding in this country for a long time. But the thing is, we adapt, and we have to adapt. and find our communities, a sense of community. And if we don't have that, we have to find it so we can live out our lives, the best we can and be happy. That should be your number one goal, is the pursuit of happiness. Not like anger, not, revenge and all this kind of stuff. What's past is past, right? And politics is nothing to do with life. And no cult of personality hero is going to save America. And politics as pop culture is a totally insane concept. Like I said before, hairdos are pop culture. A new style of clothing is pop culture. Bell bottoms are pop culture. All right. The miniskirt was pop culture. Andy Warhol's pop art, that was pop culture. All right. This politics is not pop culture. This drawing you in and you being obsessed with this stuff is insanity. It's mass insanity, literally mass insanity. And so break free of it. Just break free of it. So, yeah, I don't know what else. There's not much else I can say. So I'm just going to leave you with saying, thanks for watching. Visit TonyCaravanLive.com. And I'll talk to you tomorrow. Turn off the frickin' television set. Turn off the TV. Cancel your cable, your satellite. Don't play games with social media. And just start preparing for the next, like the new dynamic. All right? This new paradigm shift that society's taken. All right? Live your life.